Mama Mio at the Mamahood live event, which I'm so excited about because I used all of the Mama Mio products during my pregnancy with Leo and since giving birth to him. So I'm going to be here sharing with you my frequently asked questions about becoming a mum in the spotlight and my pregnancy journey. So how have I found becoming a mum in the spotlight and also being pregnant for the second time? Obviously I had Freddie, 7 years ago now, about that. So things have completely changed since I had him, and to be honest, I didn't remember a lot about being pregnant and newborns. So for me, it feels like I'm going back to square one again. But I guess it's completely different this time. Being with Jake and being in the spotlight, what I've realised is you have to really think about what you're putting out there to people and know that everyone has an opinion, and sometimes that opinion isn't what you necessarily agree with, but you just have to realise that everyone raises children differently, and just because what I think personally is what I want to do doesn't mean what someone else is going to do, and sometimes you just have to have a thick skin about it. And it is hard at times when you want to share everything with everyone, but you know that some people aren't necessarily going to agree. How did we come up with the name Leo? So Leo has always been one of my favourite names, and when me and Jake were talking about names we liked, we sort of said that any that neither one of us didn't like, we would completely scrap. But from day dot, from the moment we found out that I was pregnant, I said Leo, and Jake loved it, and from then it just stuck. Like the girls' names sort of, we had ended up having about 3 different names, but for some reason, Leo was always our boy's name from the beginning. How did my pregnancy journey differ during lockdown? So, I mean, it was hard at times because we couldn't do the things that we wanted to do, and we couldn't see our family, and we couldn't share that experience with other people. But for me, the toughest part was when Leo's here, and not being able to take him to meet our friends and meet our family and go out with him and do things and like show him off to the world. Because during the pregnancy, not really much changed in the sense that Jake could still come to the scans, which we were really fortunate that he could do, and we could still obviously have the scans, we could still do the classes, but they were just adapted, so we had to do them online, and we still got to FaceTime a family and share the pregnancy journey with them. But it's just, now that Leo's here, it would be nice to be able to show him off to the world, which we can't do at the moment. What am I going to do to ensure that I have time for me? So I think it's really important that as a mum and as a parent, you take a bit of time out of your day as a bit of self-care to do whatever you want to do, whether that be to have a bath, whether that be to do a 10-minute walk, whether that be to go to the gym, whether that be to have a cup of tea, anything like that. I just think is so important, because as parents, we can sometimes put our kids first, and our own self-care goes to the back of the pile. And you can end up getting quite down about it and quite run down, and I can sometimes feel like a bit overwhelmed with everything. But I just make sure that I give myself, even if it's an hour a week just to do something for me. And I enjoy working out or going for a walk and listening to some music, or just chilling out and having a bit of peaceful time. Do I want more children? I mean, even though Leo isn't the bestest of sleepers at the moment, he can be very whingy during the day and very unsettled. We've had a lot of troubles with his milk, and the fact that he's colic and also got reflux. Do you know what? It still doesn't put me off having kids. I would love probably 2 more, so 4 kids altogether. I just like the idea of having like a huge family, having big Christmases together, having big birthdays, all playing games. Yeah, I would just love 2 more. I mean, I'd be happy with 2, but if we did have 2 more, I would be really happy. What advice would I give to a new parent? It would definitely be, nothing can really prepare you, and expect sleepless nights, expect to be tired, expect to have days where you feel frustrated, but that's normal. And It's fine if some days that you feel sad and other days you wake up and you're completely happy, because we all go through that. And just remember that how you feel in that moment is temporary. And if you have an argument with your boyfriend or your partner or your husband in the night, in the morning, just start afresh and forget about it, because there's going to be hard times like that where you're both going to feel frustrated with each other. But I mean, you have a little baby at the end of the day, and what more could you want? What products did I use in my pregnancy and how early did I start to use them? So I used throughout the whole of my pregnancy the Mama Mio products, which I absolutely loved, and I'm still actually using them now. So I started using them probably from the first trimester, pretty much as soon as I found out that I was pregnant, because I just wanted to completely prevent any stretch marks from the very beginning. And I use them all over my body, because the whole of your body gets bigger when you're pregnant, not just your bump. It's your arms, it's your legs, it's your bum, it's your back, everywhere. So for me, I just wanted to start them from the very beginning, and then up until now, I'm still using them, because a lot of people think that once you give birth, your belly just goes back in and that's it. But actually, you can still get stretch marks after you've given birth, when your skin is then going back to normal and healing. Did I work out during my pregnancy, and am I working out now? So I worked out before I was pregnant quite a bit, and then when I found out I was pregnant, because we were in a lockdown and gyms didn't open and we didn't have our home gym then, I actually didn't do anything. Like, don't get me wrong, we went for like went for walks every day and done like the odd really long walk. But for me, I just didn't really want to put too much pressure on myself and enjoy the fact that I can sit around eating crisps and chocolates for 9 months and not really thinking about it too much. And also, when I was pregnant, it was during like the winter months. So I, like most people, if it's raining or it's cold, I don't really fancy going for a walk. So I kind of just done what I could do, and yeah, didn't put too much pressure on myself. And now that I've had Leo, one of the things that I do like to do for my mental health is to work out, even if it's for 10 minutes, just to wake myself up in the morning and put me in a good headspace. So I'm now sort of slowly going into easy workouts, which I actually did get signed off by my midwife to say that it was all okay. And I think that's really important, that after you give birth, you check with your midwife to make sure that it is safe for you to work out, because everyone is differently. I had a natural labour and didn't have stitches, so for me, I could go back to working out quite soon, whereas other people have to wait a few more weeks than I did. Tips for packing a hospital bag. I mean, this is one thing that gave me severe anxiety, and it took me ages to do. And you know what? I ended up buying a pre-packed bag because I didn't know what to put in there, and then adding other little bits and pieces that I saw from other people's Instagrams, or I even just Googled it, to be honest. There are so many. If you Google hospital bag lists, there are so many on Google that you can just print off and go and get all the bits and put in a hospital bag and add any extras. So yeah, that would be my number one tip. Google hospital bag lists, print that off, go down to your local supermarket, get everything that you need on the list, and then add any little extras. What's the hardest part about becoming a mum? So for me, it's the frustration of sometimes not knowing why your baby is upset and crying. Like, you've gone through all the steps, they've been fed, they've been changed, they're not hot, they're not cold, and they're still upset, and you still can't settle them. And that sometimes made me feel that I was doing something wrong, and it makes you question you as a parent. And what I've realised is you just can't do that, and sometimes babies are upset, and sometimes they are sad and they do cry. That is just normal. But I guess another hard thing about becoming a mum is when you've got 2 kids or 3 kids or 4 kids, you have to make that time for the other children, and you don't want them to suffer because you've had another baby. So it's just managing that time as well as everything else that goes on in day-to-day life. Did I have any morning sickness? And if I did, do I have any tips? So I had severe morning sickness from about 6 weeks to probably about week 15. And I actually ended up going on various types of medication to try and help me. But one thing that I did think that helped me was having small meals and often, and trying to drink as much water as possible so that if you are sick, you do stay hydrated. And also keeping myself busy, even if I didn't feel that well. Make sure you get out of bed and make sure that you try and go for a small walk and get that fresh air, because that made me feel so much better rather than sitting in a bed moping around all day. Did my skin and nails change during pregnancy? So my nails, not really, because I've always had brittle nails anyway. And people say your hair changes as well. My hair didn't really change, but my skin definitely. I suffered really badly with pregnancy acne, and even now I'm still trying to sort of find ways to clear up my skin and sort out the scarring that I've been left with. And that was really hard and did make me feel really down at times, especially at the early stages where I didn't feel very well and my skin was really bad and I didn't feel that great in myself in general. And it's just hard sometimes to find ways to pick yourself up, but that's why I think it's really important that I try and share with people on my social media that to have spots during pregnancy is completely normal, and I try to share different things that I've tried that have worked for me. Am I breastfeeding, and if not, why? So I actually chose to bottle feed Leo from the very beginning, because I breastfed with Freddie and I found it very, very painful, and he just didn't get on with it, and I didn't know how much he was taking. He was really unsettled, he wasn't sleeping very well, and I don't think I was producing that much milk anyway. So around this time round, I just thought that rather than start trying to breastfeed and getting myself in a state because I couldn't do it, I just wanted to start doing what was right, not only for Leo but also for me as well. And for that reason, I decided to bottle feed. There are so many preconceptions nowadays about bottle feeding, and I just think it just needs to be normalised more, and people don't need to be embarrassed or shouldn't be embarrassed to say that they're bottle feeding rather than breastfeeding, because it's about what works as you as a family. So thank you for listening to my frequently asked questions. Mama Mio have a code to get 15% off of bundles and 20% off of single products, and that's available to use on the 24th and the 25th of April, and the code is Mamahood.